One day, I was extremely bored, so attempting to relive my past fortune, I went on the impossible Levels List website and attempted to get a world record. Now in this economy, world records are not so easy to come by, especially the ones where the run is a total of half a second and requires 50 CPS orb spam with 560 FPS frame perfects in the middle of it. You'd catch me playing castling before even attempting that kind of record. So instead of that, I found this neat little feature on the site where you can sort the records by the highest percentage achieved. Bless the heart of the dude who got 94 on unnerved version of the Yandere. As I was scrolling down, a level caught my eye. Looking at the world record on travel to the time, it looked pretty easy. And after looking at the showcase and it seeming extremely doable, this was gonna be the level I get a world record on. Travel to the Time is a level made 10 years ago by CryptoKR and was physically impossible due to a single blue orb being accidentally moved about 1.5 blocks. And there it sat, dormant for 9 years before anyone even glanced at it. But in July of last year, it was finally noticed and fixed by Dtron99 by moving a blue portal back to where it was intended to be.
Allegedly.
It was then submitted to the ILL on the 4th and was placed exactly at 900, which at the time would be slightly above Hard Machine. This leads us back to present day, September 15th, where I'm about to do a practice run now. The level starts with a ship that has breakable blocks in between some spike gaps, where you're forced to fly into the bottom half of the gaps or you're fucked. An interesting mechanic, but not that hard. Skipping some really easy gameplay, we come to our first actual hard part. The reason I say it like that is because, well, it's almost completely dependent on luck. When you enter this transition from a wave to a cube, you go straight into an auto part, which is bugged. Please. Oh my god! At first, I thought I was on the wrong FPS or something, but no. The way you have to enter this cube portal is extremely precise. You know you've done it right when your cube doesn't hit the corner of this block. I honestly couldn't tell you exactly where you need to enter this cube portal, as it doesn't make any sense. Sometimes it would work when you entered high, sometimes it would work when you enter low, and even in the middle. But it would also literally never work at the same time. Anyways, after that, you get a break from anything hard for a bit, going through some cube and then a wave. I do want to note my initial goal was getting past this wave here at 53, since this was the world record at the time achieved by Interface Alpha on September 2nd.
Yay, world record.
After this wave and breezing through the ship, you get to this UFO, the last third of the level, which I severely underestimated how hard this would be, because when I looked at the showcase for the first time, I never realized how precise the required alignment is throughout this last part. This is where I wanted to throw in the towel and just get the world record to this UFO, but for shits and giggles, I decided to finish my practice run anyway, doing trial and error through the UFO and solving the puzzle that is the duel. Once I finished that, I had one question. Since this level is about hard machine difficulty according to the list, how possible would it be for me to beat this level while knowing full well anything hard machine difficulty is way out of my skill range? So I went back and set a goal for myself: get the level in 3 runs, which means getting to 68, the start of the UFO to the duel, and then the duel to the end. So let's work our way backwards. Looking at the duel, it looks pretty simple, and it is, except for one corridor. This took me about 2 hours of trial and error to actually understand what is happening here. What the fuck? What you want to do is press the orbs in the gravity portals as late as possible and make sure you're holding afterwards. This sets you up for a release timing where you want to let go at the third to last block on this line of blocks. What this does is has your icon hit this top blue pad before you hit the bottom blue pad under it. This makes it so when you do hit the bottom pad, this icon can stay upside down and pass right through the top pad since you've already hit it. Now you're set up to where you can jump off the very edge of this block, which will have your icon just barely hit this yellow pad, allowing it to, again, just barely make it over these spikes. Next, you have the top icon hit a yellow pad, bouncing it into the duel portal into a pretty difficult jump that you can't buffer. And that's the end of the duel. Everything else past that is just a couple of buffers and a tricky transition into a ship straight fly. But why do you have to do the duel like that? Is there not an easier way? Short answer is it's the only way. Long answer is there's a mechanic in GD where when you exit from a duel, the icon that hits the portal first is the one that will remain. So when you take the path of least resistance, the icon that will exit the duel will be thrown into the ground and there's nothing you could do past that point. You can also do a frame perfect timing, jumping over the pads and hitting the duel portal without changing gravity, but this does absolutely nothing helpful either. The only way this sequence works is because when you barely clip the yellow pad from above, your top icon skips this big portal, making it so when your icon does bounce into the duel portal, the different physics of you being mini will let you land on this platform, making the next jump barely possible. Now, as much as this duel is confusing, the strat I talked about earlier is extremely consistent. I even talked with other people after doing 81 to 100 as my first run, taking about 1,000 attempts. And finally, we go to the UFO, the hardest part of the level. We first begin with basically a blind timing where when you enter the UFO portal from whatever this is, you need to click as late as physically possible to the saw. It's not frame perfect, but the later the better nonetheless. If you do click too early, you, 1, have to change your click pattern for the next 2 clicks, which would be extremely hard to react to, especially when it's a blind timing. 2, you will have a horrible setup for the next part, which will make the next couple of clicks almost frame perfect. Anyways, after the first click, the next couple aren't too bad, with you just needing to get to this gap, then jumping over the saw. Now, if you got good alignment, you'll want to click very late into this corridor, and then late again on this pink orb. Next, you'll need to do a double click twice to get through these gaps and into this yellow portal. Now, what the level wants you to do is hit this pink orb and fall into the blue portal and make it through this corridor. This is terrible. When you do it like this, the alignment you need is insane. The only way to make this possible is if you triple click here. That gives you good alignment, having you fall down late here and hitting these pink orbs, further letting you pass without having these spikes hit your head. But I found a way to bypass this really stupid triple click by skipping this pink orb and jumping over this blue portal, doing a double click for good alignment and passing this corridor with no problems. Finally, the last 2 clicks are just clicking late and skipping this yellow orb, because if you do hit this orb, you'll just get sent straight into the spikes. Next, clicking very late here in this semi-blind timing because of the mirror portal. And that's the UFO section. My next run was doing this strat of skipping the blue portal from the middle of the UFO, where I actually almost got to 100 from there. I spent the next 30 minutes trying to do the UFO in full, and fast forward an hour later, and I was getting slightly consistent at the UFO, and I eventually got this run. At this point in time, I was still a bit skeptical if I was actually going to beat this, since as much as that run is almost all of the difficulty of the level, you have to endure a playable cutscene that includes an RNG wall for a minute before you can even get 1 attempt at the UFO. But that's besides the whole point of me playing in the first place. I haven't even played from 0 yet. After realizing that, I learned the first half quickly as it's pretty simple, then I died several times the cube transition, and the first time I passed it, I got world record. This was terrible though. I knew at minimum I could get to the UFO, but that's all I had in me for the day. And you know how it is, the sleep buff is overpowered. As soon as I tried to do the UFO to 100 again, it took me about 20 attempts, no warm-up. At this point, I knew this shit was possible. So very quickly, I pushed the record to 68, and in turn, means I've got it in 2 runs. After a bit of a dry streak, dying to the cube transition 14 times in a row, the next time I passed it, I got the first click of the UFO pretty decent, getting me good alignment for the future, and yeah, I trolled a little. I clicked way too late. In this moment, I knew I could beat this level, but I was still not very confident I would get the right alignment for the first click consistently at all, since when I played from the UFO, I would die to the click about 95% of the time. But as I always say, everything is easier from 0. What? No! While describing the duel, I did omit something. The transition between the UFO and the duel is a little fucked. When you fall down to the duel portal, sometimes your top cube will fall down too slowly and hit the end of the path, having it only be able to jump at the very edge of the block. This fucks up the setup and the cube will miss these pads, falling to its death. You can lessen the chance of this happening by jumping right before this portal to fall down faster, which I did do, but it's still not consistent. Albeit it was pretty unlucky since it doesn't happen very often, about once every 10 times. And as if God was watching, 20 minutes later, the next attempt at the UFO, I pass it again. The dual transition works. I set up the edge jump to the pad perfectly. I pass a decently hard single jump. I get to the ship and yeah, I'll admit, I did not practice that transition to the straight fly enough at all. And that'll end day 2. The next day started how I thought it would go on day 2, dying to that horrible horrible cube transition a million times and dying to 68 to 70 several times. After some persistence, I made it back to the duel, passed the duel, and died to the easiest straight fly ever. And oh my god! Are you serious? Again, I gave up for the day. But I just couldn't stop thinking about it. As the hours passed, it just got worse. I started to daydream about it. I saw it in other games I played. And when I went to sleep, it kept me awake with all these horrible nightmares. I had to put an end to this. And after dying to that stupid fucking cube transition, I got this run.
Well, it's a live band and I play every instrument at once. And I also do the Quebec vocals.
Tyler.
Okay, I got it. Dude, why is there always No Mercy in Dead Center?
It's kind of crazy how little lobbies there are.
Oh, well, Dead Center. Get it! Infected!
Now they want to fucking change it.
I'm down. Hard right now. We just played hard.
Wait, I'm down. It's just like every single time they switch, everyone's like, but I want to play the really normal one everyone plays.
Did you
Yes!
Did
Sorry.
you just beat?
Next video.
No, I beat the other thing.
What's the other thing?
Can't.
Yeah.
You beat the harder than hard machine thing? It's not harder than hard machine.
Couple things before I end this. Here's how the creator uploaded this level before verifying with no clip or verify hack was common. After I verified this level, it was obviously not harder than hard machine, and since I feel like I've been a lot of levels around this difficulty, it felt right to say it was about Devil Vortex difficulty. It sits about here on the list today, and if you feel motivated to be the one to verify an impossible level because of this video, please go for it, as you could share the same experience as I did, originally thinking it would never happen to 3 days later, I've conquered it. And finally, if anyone verifies this level, I'll give them 50 bucks. If you'd like me to overanalyze other stuff I've done, let me know. I haven't made a fully scripted video longer than 5 minutes since